Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Their head coach has experience making deep playoff runs in Ime Udoka, and they have a point guard in Fred VanVleet that's 1A type. So they're not completely foreign to all of this. If you're leaning either way, take the over 5.5 games, or for a little bit more money, plus 1.5 games for the Houston Rockets. It will go at least 6.
Betting above the rim, only on
A new week starts right here, right now, live on this Monday morning on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time, bright and early on this morning to set the stage for a new week. The opening round of the NBA playoffs, the opening weekend of the playoffs in full around the association, now officially underway. All 8 of our opening round sets have begun with 4 game ones on Saturday, a quadruple header of game number ones on Sunday, and a ton to recap for you here in this opening hour. We'll go around the weekend that was in Major League Baseball as well. Nearly a month into this MLB campaign. What have we seen? What have we learned? And it is officially NFL Draft Week. The 2025 NFL Draft begins in just 3 days on a Thursday evening for round number 1 and night number 1 in Green Bay, Wisconsin. A lot to get into here over these 3 hours, DRS on TEL.
It should be a lot of fun, too. We usually play that armchair quarterback on a Monday, and there's so much talk about the NBA, what we saw, blowouts, close games, maybe some upsets that we didn't see this weekend, which could turn into gold over the next couple days because that zigzag theory that everybody loves, lose one game, you better not lose that second game here for an NBA team to go down 0-2 in a series. So a big night in basketball tonight and, of course, this week, but also it is draft week. It is fun. We know who the top overall draft pick is going to be, but we don't necessarily know who 2, 3, 4, and 5 are going to be as well. And also some of the blockbuster trades that we know will go down this week, which includes draft picks and or big-name veterans. Always a great week to talk football.
We have not seen a ton of movement yet. No. In fact, we have seen zero movement at this point in the NFL draft order. Might there be some moves and maneuvers made this week as we near closer to the opening round on Thursday, where the Tennessee Titans will be on the clock drafting first overall? DRS, let's start with the opening round of the NBA playoffs. 4 games on Sunday. Of course, we'll recap the 4 games on Saturday as well. But we start with our final game of the weekend, the final opening game of an opening round series. And maybe as we expected, despite being the 7th seed, the Golden State Warriors have that playoff pedigree more so than the 2 seed out west, the Houston Rockets. Low-scoring game number 1 last night in H-Town, but led by 56 combined points from Steph and Jimmy. The Dubs go on the road and get exactly that. A Game 1 dub, 95-85, winning outright DRS as an ever-so-slight 1-point road underdog.
The referendum series, Ben, like you know me, I'm a Clippers fan in the playoffs here, also a Rockets fan, trying to cheer on some teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll get to those. But I'm going to tell you right now, if we see a series where the Rockets are non-competitive against the Warriors, and you say to yourself, the 2 seed versus the 7 seed, but the 7 seed is way better, why are we even going to play a regular season ever again? If you follow me on Twitter, which a lot of people do, Ben, I said, you know what? Why don't we just have the NBA, all 32 teams seeded, a 7-game series, and away you go, because that's the only way to contend it. I need you, Rockets. I need you to uphold the end that tells Donnie Rightside he is wrong about the actual playoff process and the way we find it there in the regular season. The Rockets' regular season is in a referendum right now, and I need it. I need the Rockets to show up.
Yeah, DRS, as do I. You know that I am a Houston backer alongside you with a Western Conference ticket bet prior to the All-Star break. We need it. Golden State entered the series as an outright favorite at -168 after a road Game 1 win. Now -370. Plenty more about where that set stands a little bit later on. It does feel as though the #1 overall seed in the Western Conference, with a couple of questions, Donnie, about their playoff experience, or rather lack thereof. Oklahoma City in for a referendum as well. Well, test #1, statement #1 made by the Thunder, winning by 51 against the Memphis Grizzlies yesterday at home, easily covering as a 12.5-point favorite, 131-80, the largest margin of victory in a game #1 in NBA playoff history.
How about that? Like, the only wonder was, like, how high could go. It's going to be 50. It's going to be 60. Could it be 70 points as a victory? The only handicap I have on this game is maybe just karma. You wear Vancouver on your jerseys in the biggest game of the year, the next game to get beat by 50. Sometimes it happens. It just does.
Yep, it certainly did yesterday. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't even do all that much. Aaron Wiggins off the bench, the Thunder's leading scorer on a Sunday afternoon. How about those reigning NBA champs, the Boston Celtics, down by 1 at the break against the Orlando Magic in a series we all expect to be a comfortable cruise for the C's. Boston prevails in the second half, winning by 17, 103-86. The Celtics even cover as a 13-point home favorite.
It's pretty impressive, too, because we looked at that total in the low 200s, say, man, somebody's got to do something, and then the Magic do what they always do. Yeah, they'll play a little defense, but then they don't also score points. First quarter, 18. Third quarter, 18. Fourth quarter, 19. Against the defending champions, yeah, you're going to get blown out doing that.
Yeah, the Magic were again ahead by 1 at the break. 7 made threes, though, from Derek White, a big difference. In a third quarter that Boston scored 30 in Orlando, only able to muster up 18. That was a true distinction as well. The #1 seed, though, in the Eastern Conference does not reside inside TD Garden. It's in the land. The Cavaliers, pretty tightly contested game through about 3 quarters last night in Cleveland before the Cavs pull away in the fourth. Behind a game we will forever call the Ty Jerome game, 28 points to lead the Cavaliers off the bench. Donovan Mitchell, a team-high 30 points, but that's why the Cavs pulled away with a 21-point win, 121-100 to take game #1 rather comfortably.
Yeah, maybe it's just so simple as playing 3 straight technical road games here in the playoffs, and 2 of those were high-leverage situations. You almost want to just take a deep breath, which is what the Heat did. Let's see what they have for game #2. #1 seed supposed to beat the #8 seed, and they handled their business by winning by 20+.
Yeah, Cleveland covers as a 12.5-point home favorite. Some big college football news made official yesterday. Reports linking the Tennessee transfer Nico Iamaleava to the UCLA Bruins, but nothing made official until yesterday's announcement. It is for real. Iamaleava back in his hometown of LA, now in Westwood, trying to lead UCLA to a new era in year #2 under Deshaun Foster.
Yeah, certainly going to have a microscope now. You were that big-time athlete in the SEC, wanted more money, you went out to the West Coast. Do we know the financials? Like, do we know what he got? Or not yet? It's not, not official.
It has not been reported, DRS, but the $2.4 million that he made for the Volunteers out of high school, UCLA not coming close to that. Maybe, at best, getting to 1.8 based on reported and speculated numbers. What does this mean for the Bruins? Are they a surefire Big Ten contender? No, the win total is 5.5 for UCLA, and the under has the hefty juice. Let's talk some more baseball around the weekend that was. The San Diego Padres at home in SoCal, great. On the road, a little bit dicier, but a Fernando Tatis Jr. blast in the 7th inning gives the Padres a win over the Astros yesterday to avoid a sweep on Sunday Night Baseball. San Diego winning 3-2.
Yeah, really good game last night, too. And you saw that 2-0 lead by the Padres. The bottom of the fifth inning, which you saw a tie game now between the Houston Astros and the Pods. They should have scored more than the 2 runs in that inning. It's the only 2 runs they scored in the game. Credit San Diego, 16-6 now on the season, improving to 4-5 on the road. That's a good win against a good pitcher.
Yeah. An MLB best for San Diego. Fernando Tatis Jr. scoring all 3 runs yesterday. Scary moment early in the game. Luis Arias at a collision at first. Had to be stretchered off the field, taken to the hospital as a precaution. Was back in the stadium with his San Diego team following the game. Some really good news there. Playoff action on the ice. Stanley Cup postseason underway. 3 games on a Sunday. The Canes, the Leafs, and the Golden Knights all get a Game 1 victory.
Toronto looking to get that Stanley Cup first time in what,
Big one.
60 years? Let's see if they can do it. It's a good start for those Toronto fans out there.
DRS, they're just trying to win a series. They have only won 1 opening round series in their last 8 playoff appearances. The Jets victorious on Saturday, as were the Avs. NBA playoff reaction next.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Monday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie. I am Ben. NBA playoffs weekend number 1. All 8 series that we have around the association, with 4 starting Saturday, 4 yesterday on a Sunday. We recap those game number 1s right here, right now. DRS, let's start with the final game of the weekend in Houston last night. A game that you have said represents a referendum for the series. The 2 seed. The Houston Rockets with home floor advantage, and yet the series underdog outright against the Golden State Warriors. Will the regular season mean a lick of anything in the association moving forward? Well, only if the team that has home floor advantage can beat up on a team that had to emerge out of the play-in tournament. Well, it was that play-in tourney team with all the playoff experience and pedigree that being Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and now Jimmy Butler and the Warriors kind of beaten up on the 2 seed. 95-85, the victory for Golden State, taking game number 1 on the road to start the set last night. Basically 14 cents of difference in a money line price, but the Dubs were an ever so slight underdog, catching a point on the road in H-Town, minus 102 on the money line. By the way, you see it there. Neither team getting to the century mark. A total of 213.5 does stay well under.
Well, that was the worst part about seeing that final score. There's some things you can say okay, the number 2 seed, boy, it was a great hard-fought game. Yes, number 2 seeds have lost to lower seeds a couple games in a series before. That's not the surprise here. It's the fact that score was 95-85. The Rockets are the 2 seed and mustered 85 points in a playoff game at home and lost by double digits. Coming into me, this was the focus series. This was okay. Young and up-and-coming team worked hard during the regular season, earned that number 2 seed, and the rest of the, let's just say, sports books and handicappers and odds makers are telling us that doesn't matter at all. That's a nice little shiny season for the Houston Rockets, but wait till they play a team with playoff pedigree. They're going to go down. And it just so happens it's the Golden State Warriors in the 7 seed here, easily dispatching them of double digits. And honestly, 21-18 first quarter. Okay, Houston, you're in the playoffs now. You want to get the jitters away. That's the quarter that you expect them to lose by 10 points just to find their footing. They didn't. They won the first quarter. They fell completely apart in the second quarter. That game was a wrap after it. So just looking at the totals, you expect Jimmy Butler to have a high usage rate, 19 shot attempts. You expect Steph Curry to do the same thing, 19 shot attempts, 31 and 25. But the expectations for Houston was this is a good young team specifically on offense and only able to muster 85 points. They should have been rested. They should have been ready for that game, and they weren't.
Yeah, they were. DRS, it was tough for Houston, right? This is the spot where you put them into, can they match that playoff experience? Question number 1, the answer was no. The Rockets will have other opportunities, but this is part of the reason that we give that playoff pedigree to Golden State. The Warriors led by as many as 23 in the third quarter. Houston did rally, cutting it to just a single possession with about 6 minutes left. But when you're trying to come back from down 23 with only about a quarter and a half remaining, it is a very difficult thing to do, especially when the only scoring for a team that is only able to muster up 85 is really coming from Alperen Şengün. He had 26 to lead the Rockets. Nobody else had more than 11 points. And Donnie, we saw it in that play-in tourney game against Memphis. Not exactly the easiest victory for the Warriors, but still winning by 5 on their home floor. And they saw the Grizzlies come back to take a lead early in the fourth after trailing by as many as 20. But we said it there. When you look at the box score that day, offensive contribution mainly from 2 guys, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler. Offensive contribution last night in Houston, mainly from 2 guys, Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. 31 for Steph, 25 for playoff Jimmy. A combined 56 of the 95 points the Warriors scored to steal game 1 on the road.
Yeah, and you're going to need a big performance by the Rockets. You can't go down 0-2 against anybody, particularly 0-2 losing on your home court. But having said that, you're right, and we talk about this so much. The first round of the playoffs in the NBA, because they want to get every game on TV, you have extra days off in between. So now earlier you're seeing Jimmy Butler play 42 minutes in that game. Steph Curry play 40 minutes in that game. High usage rate, high leverage right down the stretch. We have a couple days in between to recuperate, which isn't the case in an NBA season. You go on the road against Houston, you're not hanging out the next 2 or 3 days in Houston, getting rested up before you fly out to, let's just say, Denver to play a basketball game. But now you're there. You're in the same hotel room. You're comfortable. You have a couple days off. You can rest those legs. You can get back to the arena and get some shots up there because you know you're playing in that same exact experience for game number 2. So this does bode well, really, for the Golden State Warriors. I'm just so disappointed with the effort for the Rockets. I'm not saying they didn't play hard, but to lose by 10 points, and again, the optics are key here. 116, 106, 126, 116. I'm feeling a little bit better. Only 85 points again mustered up because we know the Warriors are going to play defense. But you're looking at the Rockets. If you can't get to the 91, like we expect the Orlando Magic sometimes to get held below 90 points. Not the Rockets for me, Ben.
Under 213.5 DRS. Game number 2, by the way. Total has dropped by 8.5 points. Not till Wednesday. Some time to recuperate on both sides. 205, that over-under for game 2 between Houston and Golden State. By the way, 6 of our 8 game 1s going under this weekend. All 4 from our Western Conference sets. That's playoff basketball. DRS Golden State entered despite being the 7th seed as the outright favorite to win this opening round playoff series, -168. You take game number 1 on the road, even as an ever so slight dog, you are going to see the odds work even more in your favor, and substantially so. -370. The Warriors now a very strong favorite to make this rather quick. 6 games, though, still at +165.
Now, what would you rather take? Houston -2.5 at -188, or rather take the Rockets plus 295 to win that series at that one? But honestly, do we buy back in on the Rockets? Like that game, and you can't. The eye test is what we try to look at, which was so poor for Houston. But look at that price point. If Houston can come back and win game number 2, right, and then maybe get a split in Golden State and come back and say best of 3, we have home court advantage, that is a massive number. But they were so poor in game number 1, it's almost like I'm writing off the series all the way, which is why I'm asking you, Houston Rockets, please save the regular season. Like, Adam Silver's over there looking at this, say, hey, we might have to cancel the regular season if it turns out this way. We're that serious right now, Houston. Show up in game number 2. Let's get a buyback in point at close to 3-1 on the Rockets.
By the way, Rockets +2.5 is that series spread as the underdog. Houston expected to take game 2. -3. Again, the odds makers thinking the Rockets are more of a series underdog, but understanding the importance of a home game in game number 2. The rest of the West up next.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A recap of the Western Conference playoffs, our opening games of the opening round. DRS, the second game of 2 out west on a Sunday, was the first game of the day. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it because there might not be all that much to say. The Thunder absolutely hammer the Memphis Grizzlies in the 1-8 matchup, 131-80. A 51-point win for Oklahoma City. The Thunder easily cover as a 13.5-point home favorite. A total of 232. Stays well under. OKC is now 52, 25-4 against the spread, booked as a favorite this year. That is a cover percentage of 67.5. It is the best cover percentage of any team in the NBA, booked as a favorite more than 15 times this year. What should that tell you? If OKC is favored either by a little or a lot, there is a great chance they are going to beat the crap out of you and cover a spread.
I love it. Like, this is the way you're supposed to have that, that jaunt off to winning a championship. It's like, all right, we're the number 1 seed. We get it. The number 2 seed doesn't even show up in their game. Just take that out of your mind. But this was like, okay, Memphis might be game here. They played their way in. Scrappy team. Ja Morant got some superstars there. And Oklahoma City's like, you still don't trust us here? Watch us whack you by 50 points. Let's see what game number 2 is up here. I love that start because nobody would have upset if Oklahoma City won this game 120-116. Okay, game number 1, had a long layoff, handled our business at home. Let's continue to move. But the fact that they were so dominant, so early in that game, and absolutely routed the Grizzlies, almost sending a message to the rest of the NBA. Like, if you didn't watch that game, just look at the final score. We're coming for you as well at this point. I love that start. And also, you take a look at some of the players like Jalen Williams, a plus 44 in only 26 minutes of action. Like, look at the starters in that plus money number. And the shame of it is, if you said 131 points were put on the board for OKC, like, yeah, I had my total over for SGA. No doubt he got like 34 points in that game. Only scored 15 points. That's what I talk about sometimes, where it's like the superstars of the team, the expectations are they're supposed to score 40 points in a game, and if they do and the team wins, great. But when your team doesn't even need your superstar and wins by 50 points, it shows the talent level and the depth of that team. Love the start for OKC. 50-plus point win. Impressive, man.
All 5 starters in double figures, but to Donnie's point, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the NBA's leading scorer this season, only 15. Aaron Wiggins off the bench with a team-high 21, leading the way for OKC. The Thunder now a minus 10,000 favorite to win this opening round set against Memphis. That is not a misprint. That is correct. DRS shortest in terms of total games. The most likely in terms of how many games we see is 4. That would be a sweep at minus 120. But the only team that can pull off a sweep, both literally and figuratively, is the Thunder. For Oklahoma City to win in 4, series correct scores minus 106, a better price. I might bet it, thinking we at least get the opportunity for a sweep entering game 4 and maybe have a hedge out or middling opportunity on the Grizz. But it's OKC. It's just a matter of time.
It is a matter of time, but also I still want to buy back into teams that get smoked or down in game number 1.
Sure.
Like, we just saw how crazy it is. They're supposed to get swept. Put this, like, no matter what, Memphis is going to get 2 home games. And in those 2 home games, there's going to be a time in the second half where the Memphis Grizzlies do have a lead. So I'm going to hold off on the sweeps here. The same thing even when we talk about the Orlando Magic and their Boston series. I'm going to hold off on the sweeps because it is hard to sweep a team. And it's still 2 road playoff games that you have to win in order to take care of that sweep right away. So I'll leave that out right now. But boy, oh boy, if anybody's looking to buy back in on the Grizzlies this morning, it does make it tough. There's no doubt about that.
OKC, a 15-point favorite for game number 2 tomorrow night. Let's get to our 2 games on Saturday. Donnie Rightside cashing tickets immediately. On Friday in our playoff pick 6, he said 1 game between the Clippers and the Nuggets in a series we expect to be tightly contested. Just one game will go to overtime. Started in game number 1 and in OT, led by a defensive play from Russell Westbrook. The Nuggets win at home, 112-110 over the Clippers in OT to take game number 1.
We wasted a clip show. We really wasted at this point. I mean, take a look at James Harden's 32 points out there. He got 21 from Zubac. He got 22 from Kawhi Leonard. Even Norm Powell dropped 2 3-point shots, which is very disappointing because we know he all needs 3-point shots every single game for 12 points. Everybody in double digits, and you still ended up losing that game. And you had a great start. 35-27. The vibes were high. You just couldn't hold on. That could be one of those games where it does decide the series because the Clips took game number 1. Pressure's off. They're going back home. Worst case, 1-1. You can't go down 0-2, Clips. Can't do it.
We'll talk about game number 2. We'll talk about the rest of that series. And, of course, the Lakers and the T-Wolves. That was a good one on Saturday. All of that up next.
knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rhythm. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of thoughts.
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Recapping the opening weekend of the NBA playoffs live right here on a Monday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. A focus on our two games from Saturday out in the Western Conference. We expected the series between the Clippers and the Nuggets, its start at altitude, to be tightly contested and competitive, not only just in game number one, but throughout. And that's exactly what we see. Cash the OT bet that DRS gave you on Friday morning. Overtime in game number one, and the Nuggets emerged victorious, 112-110. LA does technically cover as a 3.5-point road underdog in game number one. And despite going to an extra session, DRS, a total of 224.5 does stay well under. But Denver takes game number one. And Denver entered this series, despite being the higher seed, with home court advantage as the underdog. After winning game one on its own home floor, the Nuggets now a slight series favorite at -138.
And they should be now, because home court advantage is theirs. And also understand this. There are ways that you could take a look at game number ones, right? It's like, hey, the Thunder just wiped the Grizzlies out. No big deal, Grizzlies. Let's just get back in game number two, see if we can be competitive and maybe steal a game against the Thunder, whether we think that or not. Same thing for the Orlando Magic, right? You have that same opportunity. But the fact is, when you had that game, you should have won that game and you lost it. That's sort of like that double sandbag for game number two, where you show up to the arena like, oh, we're up what? No, we're not up 1-0. We're 0-1 right now. And that gives the Denver Nuggets some extra oomph to say, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't have won game number one. We ended up taking that game. Let's take number two and really put the screws to the Clippers. So I don't want to say we're going to have a hangover in game number two for the Clippers, but boy, oh boy, they wake up and say, we should have had that basketball game. That was ours. Now we have to fight in game number two. We'll see the type of mettle that team has.
No doubt about it, DRS. We expected it to be very close. Razor-thin margin in this series. The Clippers flipped to a slight favorite, but really we were talking money line pick'em prices on either side in the build-up to game number one on Saturday night. Never a double-digit lead. Not once in the second half did we see a double-digit lead between these two sides. The Clippers, by the way, a game one road underdog tonight, DRS, in our nightcap of our two games in game number twos around the association, a slight road favorite in Denver. How about the other LA team with home court advantage? The Lakers hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves in our 3-6 split. Another series we think is going to be close, but the Lakers were the outright favorites entering game number one on Saturday night. Minnesota had other ideas. The Timberwolves winning outright as a 4.5-point dog in downtown LA, 117-95. A total of 215 and a hook does stay under despite 37 points from Luka Doncic in his Lakers playoff debut. The Minnesota Timberwolves have enough on the other side with some brilliant three-point shooting. Anthony Edwards, 22 points, 4 of 9 from deep. Jaden McDaniels, 25 points, perfect from beyond the arc, and 23 points from Naz Reid off the bench, including 6 made triples. Minnesota wins by 22 to steal game number 1 on the road.
Yeah, knocked down 21 triples on the road in a playoff game, which was 50% from the floor, which is so impressive to see that happen, specifically against a Lakers team that you figured would be fired up for that game. And they were. Watching that first quarter, like 28-21 Lakers. Luka was on one here, but LeBron James was nowhere to be found off the jump here. Slowly starting out, scored some points there in the second half, 8 for 18, only 19 points. Wasn't good enough. But you're talking about, again, you need some of those bench players, those ABC guys to step up. You know you have the superstars in Anthony Edwards, but Naz Reid coming 8 of 12 from the floor, 6 of 9 from three-point range, as you pointed out. That's massive stuff. That is a huge victory and a statement game for Minnesota, who said, you know what? Last year, we thought we could win a championship. We made some changes, lost Karl Anthony Towns, got Julius Randle in town. Things didn't really come together, per se, in the regular season. Still a good team. 1 game away from winning 50 games as a franchise, but that is a big-time win. And also, what were you doing, Los Angeles Lakers? There's a lot of hype and excitement that the healthy Lakers are in the playoffs with Luka, and then you see Luka drop 37 points, 5 of 10 from three-point range, and they got smoked. LeBron's got to be better. That supporting cast has to be much better for the Lakers.
19 for LeBron, but that was really it outside of their 2 superstars. The Lakers, for most of last week, in the lead up to this game and this series beginning on Saturday, close to a $2 minus money favorite outright to win the series. But when you lose game 1 as a 4.5-point home favorite by more than 20, the odds makers have to readjust. Minnesota is now a favorite at minus 138 to win this series outright. Feels to me, DRS, as a slight overreaction.
It is a slight overreaction. It really is, because you understand this too. The zigzag theory, if anybody's never heard of that before, the pressure ramps up in the playoffs. Like, you can't lose 2 games in a row in the playoffs because all momentum, no matter what the situation, will be gone. Specifically, again, the Lakers are not the road team. They're like, oh, okay, we're down 0-2, but we're going home cooking. Let's even this up before we go back on the road for game number 5. You can't go down 0-2, because what that means is the Minnesota Timberwolves, Ben, just need a split at home to take a 3-1 lead heading back to Los Angeles. That can't happen. So we're looking for big performances and maybe a quicker start from LeBron James. It is nice to see that. You take a look at Luka Doncic. He's already locked in, but somebody has to help him. That's why you have other players and role players that need to hit their open jump shots, which is exactly what happened for Minnesota and didn't happen for the Los Angeles Lakers. I do expect a big performance from the Lakers. I'm not panicking on the Lakers yet, but that was an interesting final score and the game plan that played out. Minnesota was the better basketball team. That wasn't a fluke.
Nope, that's certainly not. Game number 2 tomorrow night. The Lakers are a 5.5-point home favorite. So not just an update on those series prices, but for the Western Conference odds as well. Oklahoma City entered as a minus 150 favorite, make it minus 170. The Warriors had the third best price, now make it second best. The Lakers at a plus 650 number, backed by $3.50 to that 10-1 price. More on those odds throughout the show. Let's flip it over to the Eastern Conference, DRS. You have said it. I have backed it up. Should be a WCC tournament. Should be a Sun Belt tournament, as we see in college basketball in the Eastern Conference, to get to the presumed Eastern Conference final showdown between the reigning champs, the Boston Celtics, and the 1 seed out east, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Based on the Game 1 performances for both, it really feels as though we are trending that way. We start in Beantown, the home of the reigning champs. The Celtics down by 1 at the break against Orlando as a 13-point home favorite, had to rally in the third quarter, and they did. They win the third by 12. They win the fourth by a lot as well, and they win the game by 17 overall. 103-86. Boston takes game number 1 over the Magic. The Celtics, even down by a point at the break, end up covering as a 13-point home favorite.
Yeah, worst fears are starting to come to the surface, and that's the Orlando Magic. Always a struggle with scoring, and once you get to the playoffs, it's even more been of a half-court game, and defense gets ratcheted up in the pressure, and the Celtics are a pretty good defensive team. Paulo Banchero, 42 minutes, 14 of 27 from the floor, 4 for 7 from three-point range, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 36 points, and it wasn't nearly enough. Now, Franz Wagner helped them out, shot 24 times from the floor for 23 points, but look at the rest of that team. You can't have just two players with the ability to score and nobody else can help you out against a team as solid and as good and as depth that the Boston Celtics have. So this game is really like, you know what? I said I didn't think they can sweep and maybe the Orlando Magic can get one game. But there are points in that game where you're watching just how hard it is for the Magic to score. You can't do that in the playoffs and be quality opponents, specifically when they're one of the best teams in the NBA. That was a disappointing performance for the Magic. Maybe they do bounce back. Maybe they can take a game. But if it's that painstaking to get to around 90 points, good luck beating anybody, let alone the Boston Celtics.
DRS, a playoff total of 205 and a hook, stayed well under. Yeah. Game number two's total now at 201. Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner not only scoring 36 and 24 respectively, but DRS taking 51 of the total 81 field goals that Orlando attempted. 27 for Banchero, 24 for Wagner. He had 23 points in total, as I correct myself. Derek White, 30 points, 7 made threes. Boston is now in their last 2 playoff runs, including yesterday, 17-2 straight up, 11-8-1 against the spread. And now a minus 10,000 favorite are the Celtics to win this opening round series. How about Cleveland? We go there next.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Just to show you the series odds that we discussed after Boston beats Orlando by 17 in game number 1. DRS, we knew the reigning champs would enter this series as a hefty favorite, minus 8,000. Again, the most likely outcome, as the odds maker saw it, the Celtics in for a sweep of the Magic. Hard to debate that after the round one, game one performance. Boston now minus 10,000 to win this series outright. Very much the same odds as OKC to beat Memphis in the Western Conference. Now, the Magic offensively, that is the issue. The Magic defensively, they might be able to take a game at home, and that's still the hope if you want the Magic plus 3.5 in that series spread.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it looks like for me, like you just look at the series spread and say, all right, it makes some sense to 3.5, but I actually would probably go the correct games, which would be 5 at plus 145. Because if we do think Orlando's taking one game, I don't know if they could take 2 games. I don't care how well they're playing at this point. There's going to be a time, as I said, on their home court, they're going to give that kitchen sink game in game number 3 or game number 4 just to try to rally around it. Would that be enough for the victory? We're going to find out. But again, it is hard to sweep. But if we have a game number 2 that shows Orlando, once again, in the 80s, they're probably going to get a sweep. Like, even if you lose Orlando, get beat 115, 110 at something. So just show me you can get to the century mark, which means you'll be competitive at home. And I think they will be. But right now, nobody's looking at this series saying after game number 1, we're looking for a 6 or a 7 game comeback here for the Orlando Magic. That was a tough beating here, and all of those ugliness of the regular season offense came to a head in one game, and that's what we're playing off of here. But for me, I still think and have hope that we're going to see a game number 5, which means a plus money number could be had if you bet that and cash that ticket.
We'll talk about the dramatic rally for the Knicks over the Pistons in just a little bit. But, Donnie, there were some hefty series underdogs, hefty game 1 underdogs. We are trying to get a true picture of what that opening round set is going to look like. And in most of those spots, I would say, if not all, you didn't take a lot of confidence out of the losing effort. So that continues to where our top seed in the Eastern Conference is the 1-8 matchup out east. The Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Miami Heat. Pretty tightly contested for a good majority of our 4 quarters. 3 of the 4, but in the 4th and final, the Cavs pull away. 30-point performance out of Spida. Donovan Mitchell, 28 points in only 26 minutes from Ty Jerome off the bench. A finalist for the NBA Sixth Man of the Year, living up to that billing. 21-point win for Cleveland at home. The Cavaliers cover DRS as a 12-point home favorite, winning by 21, 121-100.
Yeah, and the interesting part about this, too, is some of the expectations, and we talk about this like in elevation, like, hey, man, your legs are going to give out in the second half when you play in Denver because you're not used to being there. Maybe you're on the second back-to-back here, and that second leg is in Denver. So, well, why would you bring that up, Donnie? Well, understand what Miami's going through right now. High-leverage situation playing game number 1 on the road. High-leverage playing game situation number 2 on the road. And then you don't get all that much break, and you're playing the number 1 seed once again on the road. And look at how competitive Miami was. Yes, they were down 7 after the first quarter, down 8 at the break, played evenly in the third quarter. Then we get to the fourth quarter. They lose 34-21. The legs just weren't there at that point, and it's no surprise here. Cleveland won that game going away as they should have, but I'm interested to see now, with Miami staying in Cleveland, Spoelstra's a very good coach. They still have a decent lineup. I want to see how they perform in game number 2, because if they can keep it close or pull a victory, this could be a fun series. But if it's another 20-point win, even after the Heat were able to get acclimated to Cleveland and rest, well, then you know we're probably headed for 4 or a 5-game set.
In DRS, we kind of expected this to be a lopsided series as well. The odds makers still do. Minus 8,000, that outright price in favor of Cleveland. Still the most likely is the Cavaliers in 4. You see it there. Plus 115 for this series to be a sweep. What I found interesting, with the Cavaliers pulling away late, they covered as that 12.5-point favorite. Donnie, for most of the year, the Cavs on the historic pace, not just outright in their straight-up record, but as a covering juggernaut. They had only covered 5 times in their last 15 games as a favorite, ending out the regular season. They cover yesterday. That will be their burden to continue here throughout this series. I do agree, though. There were times the Heat really stayed in that game. We'll see what carries over the remainder of the way. Game number 2, not until Wednesday night. The Cavs just an 11.5-point favorite, despite covering as a 12.5-point favorite in the opening game. Maybe our most exciting game of 4 to start off our 4 sets around the Eastern Conference. Saturday night inside the world's most famous arena, inside Madison Square Garden. The Knicks win by double digits, but that's not the true story. New York victorious 123-112. Covering is a 6.5 or 7-point favorite. Total of 220 and a hook. Sky's over. But Donnie, it was that fourth quarter rally, a 21-zip run for the Knicks. They trailed by 8. 98-90 with 9:16 remaining. They went on that 21-0 run over the next 4.5 minutes to take a double-digit lead over the Pistons and never look back. The Knicks win game number 1 with that dramatic 21-zip run in the fourth quarter by 11 and cover at home.
Another one for the Pistons that you're going to wake up and say, my goodness, that next day, we should have won that basketball game. Now, instead of being up 1-0, we're down 0-1. The Knicks have all that energy from that monster fourth quarter to sort of relay that into game number 2. But understand this, too. Like, Tobias Harris had 25 points for 8 of 13 from the floor, 4 of 5. Like, you wasted some really good performances. Malik Beasley off the bench, 6 of 12 from three-point range. That was your game. But also understand this. From watching Jalen Brunson throughout his career, he knows clutch. And he knows how to win big basketball games. And even when the Knicks were so beat up, banged up, and injured and moving through the playoffs last year, he was that one bright spot, which you knew he would have a high leverage number. 27 shot attempts. Started slow in this game, but understood, once I get my game going, nobody's going to be able to stop me. 34 total points in this game. The expectations for me, he should be able to get around 30, cleared that bar even after the slow start. Nice win for the Knicks, but that feels like one that got away for a Pistons team that just needs to win a bet. Like, if they take game number 1, like, they're in this series right away. Like, yes, we're supposed to be here. We're a good up-and-coming team. Now we're finally here, and let's go. And they collapsed so badly in the fourth quarter there in the Garden.
And so that is the question, DRS, right? Well, they had a fourth quarter lead. They were up by 8. They were ahead by 8 at the end of the third quarter. Should they be inspired by that? I am sure it's what JB Bickerstaff is telling his team in the immediate aftermath of that game. Or is it crushing to crumble in the way they did now on that playoff stage? More on that series, and we finish things out in Indianapolis. Up next, around the NBA postseason.
Here's a tip. Some machines and online games have higher average payouts than others. Want to try to maximize your odds? Well, do some research online to find games which have the highest RTP or return to player percentage. So now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
A 21-0 run in the fourth quarter propels the New York Knicks to a Game 1 win inside Madison Square Garden. Should Detroit take any sliver of optimism, a silver lining saying, hey, we were up by 8 with about 9 minutes left on the road inside MSG? Or is that a crushing defeat that could set the tone for the rest of this series? DRS, the Pistons have now lost 15 consecutive playoff games. Their 14-game playoff skid entering game number 1 was already an NBA record. It continues. They have not won a playoff game since the 2008 Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks were greater than a $4 outright favorite to win this series entering game 1. After the rally in the fourth, they are now a minus 750 favorite. I still have faith in the Pistons, but again, I do wonder how they respond from what we saw in the fourth quarter.
You'll know everything in game number 2 of what you need to sort of prognosticate the rest of this series. Because even if the Detroit Pistons stay close to the Knicks, you say, okay, they'll probably steal a game then, if not maybe 2 in Detroit, depending on how it goes. Because you could look at the final score of game number 1, hey, Knicks won by double digits. But that game didn't play out that way. They just went to such a funk, and the Knicks took that game over. Like, if they could have hung on, that would have been a very interesting scenario in game number 2, where it was like a must-win game for the New York Knicks. So I want to figure this out, because if this next game goes where, like, the Pistons never have a lead, I'm not talking about getting blown out by 25 or 30 points, but down a couple points in the first quarter, down 7 or 8 at the break, down 10 entering into the fourth quarter, down 13 late in the fourth quarter. You see what I mean by this? Like, oh, no. But if they come out with some teeth again and take a lead and say, you know what? We want to show that was a fluke fourth quarter. Yes, you beat us there, but we're right here in this series, and we think we're just as good as you are. That's going to show me a lot. But again, how this game number 2 plays out, if you're just into that zigzag theory, you're going to jump right back on the Detroit Pistons. But those are the tough games. That just wasn't a normal 11-point loss. We'll gather up and we'll play again in game number 2. You had that game. A 21-0 run, you can't allow that to happen at that point. But the Knicks just took over and took control 40-21 fourth quarter. That one stings for the Pistons and their fans.
21-12 for Cade Cunningham, but just 8 of 21 from the floor and 1 of 4 from deep. He needs to be more efficient. And Donnie, that resolve we will see on this Tuesday night. The first of our doubleheader inside the Garden. The New York Knicks, a 6.5-point favorite against Detroit. By the way, the only 2 overs so far in the opening weekend in MSG because of that Knicks rally. And the Cavaliers last night at home against Miami. We were very curious what would happen in the Pacers and Bucks series, that 4-5 matchup in Indy without Damian Lillard to start. But the Bucks had entered the playoffs winners of 8 straight. It was all Indiana on Saturday, DRS. The Pacers win 117-98, nearly by 20, but led by 24 at the half. Giannis scored 36. I said at times I'm more trusting of Milwaukee with only Giannis out there and no Dame. I think Giannis would disagree. He had 36. The rest of the starting 5 combines to score 14. I think Giannis is excited for Damian Lillard to return. The Pacers win by 19. They easily cover as a 6.5-point home favorite.
Yeah, Dame was up on the bench there wearing a little like fresh gear, giving it back to Tyrese Halliburton at that point. They go, I'll be back in this series. Well, we'll see if it makes a difference because that was a Pacers whitewashing in game number 1. And you're right. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 14 of 23, which included 36 total points in that game. Wasn't great from the free throw line, but still added the 12 rebounds. And they got smoked. Those are the tough ones. Like Taurean Prince, 20 minutes in the starting lineup. No points here. Kyle Kuzma, 22 minutes in the starting lineup. No points. Brook Lopez, 9 points. Ryan Rollins, 5 points. You can't have that. You got to play better. Now, understand this. I always thought the Pacers were the better team and will win this series, but that was a disappointing effort for the Milwaukee Bucks, who need back Dame now sooner than later, as opposed to, hey, if we can maybe win one of these games and the Pacers and Dame's maybe not up to playing just yet, we can hold him out. You go down 2-0, you can't hold him out any longer. You're sort of rushing him back at this point because they absolutely need him, according to game number 1.
Yeah, we'll see that status of Damian Lillard for the rest of this set. Probably by the time we get to tomorrow, the Pacers a 4.5-point favorite for game number 2. With that injury news in a positive way around Dame, Indiana closed around a minus 150 favorite or so to win the series outright entering game 1. Minus 280 now for the Pacers. That number nearly doubling. As you look at the Eastern Conference odds, not a ton of change. The Celtics still a hefty odds-on favorite. The Cavs right behind them. and the Knicks a pretty far drop-off following that. Same story, DRS, in the NBA championship odds. Those three teams, the Thunder, Celtics, Cavs, 5-1 or shorter.
Yep, exactly. That's the way it's going to stay for a long time until we finally see that Eastern Conference Finals, which will be the Cavaliers and also the Celtics, and that'll change some things accordingly. So the good teams, off to good starts.
Very good start, that is for sure. Hour number 2 up next.